Hope everyone's doing great. It's good to see everyone virtually. This will be four Tuesdays in a row. Thank you for joining us. It feels good to see everybody, all of our Adcraft family and community coming together and keeping our events alive and learning on a Tuesday. This is the fourth installment of our second annual day show, Connected by Craft. Really excited about our guest today, Travis Chock from Baseballism. We were just talking a little bit, all of my personal passions, marketing, advertising, baseball, and the crafts that connect all of those things. So can't wait for that. But I wanted to thank everyone for spending an hour with us today. I'm Andrew Robinson. I'm our Adcraft president and vice president of sales at Warner Media. On behalf of the entire Adcraft board of directors, thank you so much for your support. We have one more of these day show talks next week. So if you haven't registered for that one yet, please do. It'll be a great one. More on that at the end of the show. We have a couple other really cool events that are coming up that I hope you mark on your calendar. Save the date, our first ever Adcraft movie night at Canterbury Village Drive-In. So drive-ins are back. When was the last time you went out and saw a movie? Let's make it July 9th. Registration will be opening tomorrow. So make sure you log in tomorrow and register and get your spot at Canterbury Village. More information to come. Our first ever virtual DIY party, we've titled Adcrafty, will be July 29th. Registration closes at next Tuesday. So what this is going to be a DIY party kit that will be mailed to you, sent to you directly to your house. Then we'll all gather virtually and have a craft night, kind of building kind of extreme crafts. And there'll be people directing us through it for those like myself that aren't as crafty as we should be. There'll be a whole seminar on that. So if you're interested in that, register at adcraft.org by next Tuesday. What else? Can't go without thanking our Adcraft board members, Jeff Cruz, Lou Eklund, and our day show program chairs for all their hard work to make today's event possible. And now I'd like to turn it over and introduce my good buddy, Jeff Cruz, Adcraft board member and chief creative officer at MRM. He'll be moderating today's chat. He's got a slew, I think if you were with me last week, a slew of awards and trophies on his back wall. But I think one that resonates right now more than any is was recently named the Diversity and Inclusion Ally of the Year as a award-winning creative leader. So he has many talents and many passions. One of them happens to be baseball. So I think we're gonna have a really good conversation today. And Jeff, I'm going to turn it over to you. Have some fun today, and we'll talk to you at the end of this hour.
Sweet, thank you, Andrew. Yeah, so one of the beauties of being the co-chair for the day show and these Tuesday talks is you get to help reach out to the talent that you hopefully will be able to share their insights and stories about craft with me. And when we hopped on a few minutes before there, Andrew was asking, so how'd you get to know Travis? And I actually confessed that it was simply, I heeded a piece of advice that Tara shared with us last week when she was talking about Tinker Hatfield and how, some young designer reached out to him for a moment of his time to get some intel. So that's what I did. I literally reached out to Travis Chock through LinkedIn. I'd come to know Baseballism as a huge baseball fan. If you don't know, I'm huge into baseball, so much so that I'm on a quest to take my boys to all 30 major league ballparks. And so I, took a swing to use obviously another Baseballism and reached out. And within 24 hours, Travis says, yeah, Sounds good. Interesting. Yeah, let's do this. So I'm extremely grateful for Travis making time for us today. Not only is he CEO and co-founder of Baseballism, he played college baseball. He has a Bachelor of Education from Oregon. He also has a master's in physical education. So he's been a coach, a physical education teacher. Now he's running a successful baseball lifestyle brand, and he's going to talk quite a bit about that and kind of the challenges and experiences of what the last few months have brought to him and his team up there in Portland. So without further ado, I turned over to Mr. Travis Chock.
Mute. Am I good here? Share screen. I can do this. All right, I'm in the house, guys. I think I'm doing this right. I'm in Portland, Oregon right now. Hope everyone's doing well. As Jeff introduced me, my name is Travis Chock. I'm the CEO of a company called Baseballism. If you're not a baseball fan or a baseball person, you probably have no idea who I am. So I kind of just want to go over who I am so that you guys know who you're listening to, and if I'm worth listening to. If you want to turn this thing off, you can do that too. But here we go. So I'm gonna switch my. So my first slide is basically no one cares who's talking unless they know who's talking, and especially coming from a baseball perspective, there's a lot of coaches out there, and they tell you, you should do this and you should do that. It's really uncomfortable when you have a baseball coach that tells you how to hit, and he tries to hit a ball off the tee and he misses and swings and misses. And so I want to be someone that you feel like you're comfortable listening to. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about my background. Basically, I started a business out of my garage after college. And since 2013, we've done over $60 million in sales and apparel. We're a baseball lifestyle apparel brand. We don't do any licensed products. We don't do any MLB stuff. It's just for love of the game. Currently, we have 11 brick and mortar stores across the country. Texas, Chicago. We got a store behind Fenway Park in Boston. Cooperstown, New York, Portland, Oregon, Arizona. So all the baseball hotspots. Another thing about me is I have no formal business background. Like Jeff was saying, I was a teacher the majority of my professional career. I was a baseball coach, and I kind of stumbled upon this. So one thing you're going to get by listening to me is that it's all original. Like, I don't read any books on business. I didn't take any business courses. I actually failed economics in Oregon before I got my education degree. So I kind of just did this just based on baseball. And one thing that kind of irks me a little bit is when someone's trying to pitch you something. Like if a marketing agency is coming up to me and they're a social media marketing agency, and they're like, hey, Travis, we can increase your sales by 3x. If you let us take over your social media company, then we can increase your following by 100 followers per week. And then I ask them, hey, what's your biggest account? And they say 5,000 followers. And I'm like, well, we got 500,000 followers. So should you be talking to me, or should I be helping you? So I want you guys to let you guys know where I'm coming from. And so I just want to share my story. So if I start from the beginning, the Baseballism story is pretty crazy. Like Jeff said, I played baseball in college. And going way back, I remember listening to someone speak when I was in my education class, and they said, you only need to be smart for 1 second of your life. And so my 1 second was buying the domain baseballism.com. So I bought the domain baseballism.com when I was a freshman or sophomore in college. And I didn't know what I was going to do with it, but I knew it was a word that that resonated with baseball people. And so I bought the domain not knowing what I was going to do with it, and eventually it's paid off. So how it's paid off is a crazy story. When I was a senior in college, I went to the University of Oregon, and football is real big in Oregon, but it's not big in baseball. And so my teammates and I started a baseball camp, and it was a youth baseball camp, and we taught kids from 8 to 12 years old each week, and we just taught them the baseball fundamentals. We called it Baseballism. But the craziest thing about that is we actually made a camp t-shirt that kind of went viral. So we made a camp t-shirt that said Baseballism across the chest, and the parents loved the t-shirt, the kids loved the t-shirt, and eventually the t-shirt became bigger than the baseball camp, and I'll tell you more about that later. But to tell you guys something about our brand, if you're not familiar with it, and it's kind of how we started and how we got big, is we were really good on social media. And this is our first Baseballism commercial. And I posted it on YouTube and it kind of went viral. But it kind of tells you kind of the lifestyle of Baseballism and like what we represent. So it was a poem. It cost us $200 to film. And I just had someone film me and we posted it on YouTube. And it kind of kickstarted our brand. So here's the poem. It goes, within a game, a bond is made. He teaches his boy a game he played. 2 gloves, 1 ball, a day at the park, and the 2 play catch until it gets dark. And his boy does better than he thought he would. So the 2 play catch as long as they could. The boy and his friends, they play in the streets. Tennis shoes and cans, no bases, no cleats. They hit home runs, and they turn double plays. 1 great catch, and he's Willie Mays. But the sun starts to set in the old neighborhood. And they played in the streets as long as they could. The boy goes to school and plays for his team. He develops his craft and he follows his dream. He has moments of glory and he has moments of shame. But they shape his life and they make his name. But he begins to get old and it's understood. The boy played the game as long as he could. The boy now a man, he's got a son of his own and he teaches his son the game he was shown. His son's first game, he sits in the stands. He yells out instruction, but it's not in his hands. And being late for the meeting was not in the plans. Put a cheer for his son as long as he can. This is America's brand. This is Baseballism. Do you believe in baseball? So basically that was our first commercial. It got like 20,000 views on YouTube, 500 shares on Instagram or 500 shares on Facebook. And it kind of blew us up as a company. And that's kind of how we started. And so it's basically comparing baseball to life, and it's the cycle. And like I didn't mention any teams in that poem or anything like that. It's the connection, passing down the craft from father to son, and then it's just cycles and it keeps on going. So that's our brand, if you haven't understood it. So one thing that stuck with me with my baseball career is I had a coach tell me, and it was during a parent player coach meeting, and all the other coaches were like, hey, we're gonna do this with your son. We're gonna do this. This is how we're going to run the team. And there was an old coach and he was just didn't say much, but he came to the front of the class and he said, baseball's the game of life. And that really stuck with me as I've played, as I've coached. And so it's kind of connected me to the game in a deeper way. And personally, like I'm not super religious. I didn't go to church a lot when I was a kid. And so when it came to making decisions in life, as I've gotten older, I just remember that coach saying, it's the game of life. Baseball is the game of life. And so a lot of decisions I make are based in baseball. And so when it comes to, for instance, relationships, and as you see here, I have a chart here that baseball is a parallel of life. Relationships, when I do something bad in a relationship, I make a mistake, to me it's an error. I gotta move on, and the most important play in baseball is the next play. And so I can't focus on what's happened behind me. I can't focus on what's in front of me if I'm always thinking about what's behind me. And so that's big for me, especially in relationships, because I screw up a lot. As I mature and I grow older, I want more out of relationships. So, but I've learned to move on from bad ones, and get better and learn from my mistakes. Work ethic. Work ethic is huge in baseball and life, and I think baseball has really helped me because the work you put in off the field directly translate to the work you put in, the results you get on the field. And it's not so much like that for life immediately. Like you can work a lot in life and go back to your job and it won't really, you're not going to win the game in one day. But for baseball, you can see the results you get. You hit the weight room one off season. Let's say you gain 20 pounds. The next season, you're going to hit some home runs if you're just hitting doubles off the wall. And so work ethic is huge. And that's what baseball taught me, is that the work you put in off the field, and it's going to translate to what you do in your life or baseball or whatever you do. Like how many people actually work to get better at their job? They go to their job from 9 to 5. They go to sleep. They wake up. They go to the job the next morning. But how many of you go home and then work on getting better at your job? And that's something I put into baseball. Is not only do I wake up and go to work, I come home and I try to find ways to get better at my job. And I think that's helped me. Preparation obviously is big. You got to know who you're playing. If you have a pitcher that's throwing 90 miles an hour and you're a hitter, you got to know who you're playing. And so preparation is big for baseballism. We want to make sure that we're always ready for any situation. And so That's big in life and baseball. Just knowing how to deal with different situations before they happen. Like when the ball comes to me, what am I going to do? That's what every coach asks their kid when they're playing. Like if there's a man on first and the ball's hit to me, where am I going to throw the ball? And in life, it's, if a cop pulls me over, how do I react to the cop or something like that? Just so I don't get a ticket or I don't get something bad happen to me. That's just knowing your situations. Competition is huge for me too. It's just, I believe that not everyone should have a trophy, and that's just me. There are people that believe that, but in life, not everyone gets a trophy. You apply for a job, you're competing with someone else to get that job. Not everyone gets the job. And so when I teach my kids baseball, when we as a company and in life, I know that I have to compete with other people to do well. And so that's what baseball taught me. And it's just, baseball is the game of life. And the last thing I'd like to talk about is just treat people the same on the field as you would off the field. And I think that's where baseball is kind of unique from any other sport. Like you think about basketball, you see a guy in the NBA dunk a basketball and he yells in the other guy's face. You see someone score a touchdown in football, he does a dance in front of the other team and rubs it in his face. In baseball, it's not like that. You treat people on the field in baseball like you treat them off the field. And it's kind of like if you let's say you went to Vegas and everyone's gone on that trip where you win money and your best friend loses money, or he wins money and you lose money. How do you react in those situations? Do you rub it in his face that you won money and he lost? No, you tone it down a little bit. Say, yeah, I won money, I'm happy, but I also feel that you did bad. So, and that's what I like about baseball is you don't have to change yourself in between the lines and outside the lines. And so those are the unwritten rules of baseball to me. I think they're relevant. Some people may disagree, but that's me. So next slide. And so I've kind of shaped this business on relating baseball to life. And so here are two of our most popular shirts. So some of the first shirts we made. The first one is live life like a 3-1 count. And if you're not familiar with baseball, a 3-1 count is a hitter's count. So, there's 3 strikes and you're out, 4 balls and you walk. 3-1, you've got 3 balls and you got 1 strike. So you still have 2 more strikes till you strike out, but you also have 1 more ball until you walk and you get a free base. So it just basically means to me that you want to play life in attack mode. You want to look for your pitch. If it's not your pitch, take the walk, go to first base. But if it's your pitch, you want to look to hit the ball and drive it far. And so to me, when I see life's opportunities come at me, I'm looking for an opportunity that's, not a stretch for me. It's an opportunity that I can do and I can drive it far and I can go far with it. And I want to live life in attack mode. So live life like a 3-1 count. It's like kind of my life motto. And so it was our first shirt and that one means a lot to me. The next one is It's Not Okay. And I know Jeff has this shirt, he was talking about it, but this one's important to me too, especially if you coach baseball and you have kids where, they strike out and they're looking. So first of all, a forward's K in baseball is a strikeout swinging. So that means you swung at the pitch and you struck out. A backwards K is you struck out looking, which means you didn't even take the bat off your shoulder. So it's not okay means it's not okay to strike out looking without taking the bat off your shoulder. So I just wanted to clarify that. So in life, what it means to me is it's not okay to let opportunities go by if you think that you could have been successful at them. How many people don't apply for a job because, oh, I don't think I'm qualified for it? Or they don't ask a girl out because, oh, I'm too ugly, or like I don't have enough confidence. You never know if you're going to hit the ball. You swing, you just might hit it. So that's what that shirt means to me, and it's super important because so many times you have kids that strike out and they look at you and they're like, that umpire made a bad call. Well, you didn't swing, you didn't give yourself a chance. So basically that shirt just says, in baseball terms, give yourself a chance. 2 more shirts for you that have done really well for us. When life gives you bad hops, make great plays. And I think COVID-19 is a perfect example for that. It's the worst hop all of us have had in our lives, maybe. And so for us at Baseballism, we chose to make something bad into an opportunity and to make it better and use it to our advantage. And so what we did was we got behind our customers. We cared for them and we showed them that, not only do we want to be a brand for you, we also care about you as people. And so even though, you know, we're taking a hit from COVID, I feel like we're going to come out stronger than this because we took something bad and we made it into a positive. And that's always a challenge when anything is thrown in your way. You know, if something bad happens to you, you have two ways of dealing with it. You can feel sorry for yourself, or you can move forward and say, you know what, this is an opportunity for me to show people that I can make something good happen with this bad situation that was dealt to me. And that's big in baseball, and that's big in life. Last shirt I want to show you guys, life's too short to take fastballs down the middle. Another good shirt for us. It does real well. And it's just basically like, in life, you know, it's finite. You know, most of us only live to you're 65, 80, 90 years old, and you only get so many chances to be great. And so when those opportunities come by you, you have to take advantage of them, whether you're 12 years old or you're 54. I mean, give yourself a chance to be great. If the opportunity comes by you, like, you're going to regret it later if you don't swing. The only thing I've ever regretted in life is not swinging at fastballs that are down the middle, because I know I could have done something great with them. And so life's too short to take fastballs down the middle is just basically baseball's way of saying, like, if you get a chance to do something great, just go. It's never going to be the perfect time, you know, to start a business. It's like the stars are never really going to align where it's like, this is, I'm going to do it now. You just got to go and keep on working at it. And maybe 2 years down the road, you'll see that you made some progress and be so glad you did it. Or you swing at the pitch and at least you know that you tried and you have no regrets. So life's too short to take fastballs down the middle. Next one, this is a poster we actually did. And it kind of goes to the same rhythm of life's too short to take fastballs down the middle, or it's not okay, is you'll never know unless you dive. And if you look at that illustration, you don't know if that player is going to catch that ball or not. But he could or he couldn't. But at least he's got a chance, right? If that player was standing straight up, you know that ball's going to drop. And so that's life for you right there. It's, if you see something that you want, no matter how far away it is, run after it and lay out and give it everything you got, because you might catch it. And that's what Baseballism was for me. It's like, I didn't think I was going to start a $40 million brand out of my garage, but I didn't know that I wasn't. So if you run hard enough and you lay out, you'll be surprised how close you get to that ball. And maybe you miss it by a little bit, but you'll be like, hey, I can do this the next time. So you'll never know unless you dive. Give yourself a shot, dive for the ball. You might make a great play. You never make great plays out of the balls you didn't dive for. And so as I move on here, I'm taking it from life to business. And so I'm the CEO of a company. I've got business partners who are my teammates. Just roles, decision-making, management, it ties into everything we do. And so I'm going to start going through slides that are just kind of showing you what we do in business that really relates to baseball. So the first one that's big for us is play your position. So my business partners are actually 4 of my teammates. And we started the business from a baseball camp to a clothing brand. And people always ask us, you know, how do you work with your friends all the time? I hear that's not good. And it's true. Like, a lot of times businesses don't work out when you work with your friends. But in our unique position, we were lucky enough to choose people to start Baseballism that play different positions. And then that's literally and figuratively. So our CFO is a catcher, our lawyer is a second baseman, and our CEO is a pitcher. And if you look at the chart on the right here, which is just a baseball field with positions, they're all spread out. They all play their positions. That's a good company to me. This chart on the right, that's when it doesn't work if you work with friends. When everyone wants to be shortstop. You know, you have 3 business partners that are all want to be the CFO, or 3 business partners that are all creative people. And that's when people overlap. There's too many cooks in the kitchen. That's when it goes bad. So my advice to anyone that wants to start a business is find people that play on the chart on the left. Find people that play spaced out, that don't overlap. Because even though you may know about other positions, there's not a lot of positions where one person is better at the position than the other. So you can give recommendations. Say, let's say I'm playing third base, I'll tell the shortstop, hey, you know, next time do this, next time do that. But I'm not going to tell him, hey, you need to do this, you need to do that because I'm better at your position. I'm just giving him suggestions. And I know that he's better at his position. I know I'm better at mine. And I'm going to stay in my lane. He's going to stay in his. So that's important. It's just let people play their position, and be the number one value at their position. And that's worked for us a lot, especially working with close friends. And we're still, like, after 8 years doing this, we still go to bars after work, and we still hang out together, and we still go on trips together for fun, and our families hang out. So play your position. That's a big one for me. Another one when it comes to management is let your employees strike out. I've learned that kind of the hard way, but I've also learned, like, being personally is, like, when your boss doesn't let you do something, let's say you have a good day and your boss doesn't let you do it, you're going to hold it against your boss. If your boss lets you do your idea and you fail yourself, you hold it against yourself. And so that's big for me, is let your employees strike out or hit, because in the end, you're the one that hired them. And so if you're the one that hired them, and let's say, they strike out 10 times, that's on you for hiring them. You hired a bad player. But if you let him hit, and let's say he hits a home run, even though that you didn't think that he was going to hit it, you did a good job hiring him. He got the freedom to do what he wanted, to hit or strike out, and he feels good about what happens either way. Let them fail on their own. They're going to strike out. Give them the opportunity to strike out. Unless it's something that's going to cripple your business, give them the opportunity to strike out, because they're going to respect you more for it in the end. And I really believe that. Like, when I hire people, they're my players. I'm going to go and let them go out there and do their job. And if they don't do their job on a consistent basis, that's on me for hiring them. And I'm going to let them be them, because if I hired a good player, they're going to be all right. They're going to get hits for me. And so let people succeed, let them fail on their own. And that's another lesson in baseball and business. How do you separate yourself in business? When I first started off in baseball, I'll talk back to the college years. I loved going to the hitting cage at midnight. And the reason I did that is because I knew that 98% of every other third baseman that played college baseball was not at the batting cage at midnight. And I knew that I was gaining ground when I was taking those extra reps in the cage. And it's important for me, because when you're working when no one else is working, you're doing two things. You're either gaining ground on people that are better than you, or you're separating yourself from the rest. And so separate yourself by working harder, because everybody practices 2 hours a day during the baseball season. Everybody does that. How many kids practice 2 hours a day, then go home and then hit an extra hour in the net? I mean, not many, right? So that's what's going to separate you, is doing that extra work. And like I said earlier in the presentation, everyone works a 9 to 5. Everyone works a 9 to 5. But how many people work a 9 to 5, go home, and actually want to get better at their job? And that's what's going to separate you in baseball or business. Is doing extra. And I think people forget about that once they start becoming adults. Is the extra work that you have to do in order to separate yourself, because you get comfortable working your 9 to 5 and doing the same thing every day and not wanting to get better. Company culture is big for us. Again, I learned this the hard way. I was put in a position where we had to hire someone, a graphic designer, and we had a few applicants, but I decided, hey, this is not a person I would hang out with outside of baseballism, but I'm going to hire this person anyway, because this person is the most talented. And I learned very quickly that just because someone is talented, it doesn't translate to winning games or doing well in your company. And so picture on the left is, Bryce Harper, one of the most talented people in the world, Jonathan Papelbon, a very good closer. They didn't get along and they clashed on the Nationals, and this is before they won the World Series, and it doesn't look too good. And then you look on the slide on the right, the Nationals are getting along. Bryce Harper's not there anymore. Papelbon's not there anymore, and they won the World Series. And so when you look at your team and you make hires, make sure you bring on people that you can work with every day, 5 days a week or 6 days a week, whatever you work, and sit down with them and win games, figuratively, in the business world. Can you sit down next to this person and get along with them, have jokes, share lunch, and be on the same page and work towards a common goal? Because, that's everything to me. It's like having a good culture in your company I mean, it's so important. So company culture, hire people that you can see yourself long-term with. Another thing for us is just surrounding yourself with people who will leap out of the dugout should you ever charge the mound. And that's another baseball saying. And that's important to me as a CEO and being the head of this company is I will have my employees back no matter what, even if I know they're wrong. And I think that's important. And when I was a coach, I was the same way. If I know they're wrong, after the situation is over, I can take them aside and say, hey, I think you screwed up here. You should have treated this customer this way or the other way. But let's say my employee gets into a shouting match with a customer. I will take my employees back every single time, just to show that in the long run, I have their back. And I think that means the world to me. I mean, if you do that for your players too, you know, if your player, let's say, I think he gets called out, but he was actually safe and he gets called out. Even though my player was probably out, I will go and argue with the umpire just to show my player that I have his back. And then I'll go into the dugout and say, hey man, you were out, but don't worry, I got you. But that makes people want to run through walls for you. And when it comes to baseball or work, I mean, you want people that will work for you and they will work extra for you if you have their back. And that's so important to me. It's just surrounding yourself that are willing to fight for you, even though you're right or wrong. A lot of times when a player's beaned, it's his fault for being beaned, or the pitcher did it on purpose. But his teammates always have his back, no matter what side he's on or if he's right or wrong. So that's a good way that I think is good for any business, especially if you're at the top of your business and you're in charge of people, is have their back every single time. And one slide I haven't included here is just being consistent. Baseball is a grind, and you know, it's 162 games. Well, not this year, it's probably gonna be 60 games, but it's 162 games, and you have to be consistent with what you do every single day, every single game. And to me, that means being good every day is great. Being great once in a while is just okay. And so try to be good every day. I've posted on social media every day for the last 8 years. And not all my posts are the best posts. Some of them are better than others, but I do it every day. And that's one thing that, you know, my employees can count on, is that I bring it every day. Whether I'm having a good day or a bad day, I'm there for them and doing work on right side by side with them. So that's big for me too. One of my favorite players is Derek Jeter. And if you look at his stats, I don't think he's ever hit more than 30 home runs in a season. But he batted 300 and hit 20 home runs every year, like clockwork, for the last 19 years of his career. And that gets into the Hall of Fame. And there's so many players out there that have hit 40 home runs in a season, but they're not in the Hall of Fame because they didn't do it every year. So bring it every day, be consistent. Good every day is great. Great one time is just okay. And final slide is just, if you're starting a business or you want to do something on your own, is just start a rally. When you first start out your business, especially for me, I started out of a garage. I had $1,500 in my bank account. I took out a credit card with 0 interest for a year just to film my Kickstarter to start it off. And so you got to start a rally somewhere, right? Every business starts off 10-0, especially if you're a small business with no funding like us. We did it from scratch. And so we started down 10-0. And not all my business partners believed that we would be what we are today, but I believed. And the rally has to start with somewhere, because when you're down 10-0, not a lot of people think you're going to win. And so what I did is I believed we were going to win. And I went up to the plate and I hit a single, and we had a man on first. Come to the plate again, I hit a double, first and third. Hit a home run, now it's 10-3. Got 2 more men on. Now you have no outs, first and second. It's 10-3. And then one of my other business partners said, hey, I think we can win this game. And then he got a double. And then it's 10-5. And then another business partner jumped on. And then all of a sudden the game's 10-8, and your business is building up steam just because you believed in the beginning. And so you got to start a rally for a business. You got to start somewhere, even though the vision is way out in the distance and you're losing 12-0, 15-0. It all starts with one person getting on base. And you got to be that person for your business if you want to start something from scratch, especially, if you're not your parents aren't millionaires and they're not going to give you a ton of money to start off. You got to chip away, and chipping away just means playing every pitch as best you can and getting base runners. And if you just keep your head down and you keep on working, all of a sudden that 10-0 deficit is 10-7, and it's 10-8. And then hopefully you're like us right now and you're winning 15-10 instead of being down 10-0. And so that's pretty much the end of my presentation here. I'm going to end it with another commercial we did recently. And it's just basically a lesson of baseball and life and how it all ties together. And so it goes like this. If baseball were easy, every hop would be great, and every pitch would be served on a silver home plate. I'd have perfect mechanics, not practice at all. I'd always get my way when I dislike a call. I'd only paint corners, hit homers with ease. I would pitch perfect games and steal home when I please. I'd play every inning at the position I want, remove fans from the stands when they issue a taunt. If baseball were easy, we'd all play without strife. But baseball's not easy. Baseball's like life. And that's the end of my presentation. I think I'm going to throw it to Jeff now. Not sure how to do that. I'm going to press stop share. Let's go.
Yeah. Okay. That was amazing. So I'm a firm believer that, obviously you have to have talent, but sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. And so when I reached out, I had high expectations, and I'm just going to speak from the heart that you personally exceeded them. Because I think we've all heard those analogies and parallels between, sports and life, and for you, baseball and life. But the craft, and that's a chosen word of how you really showed how they are related and those parallels was really amazing. So thank you for making those connections. That was really great. So I have some questions, and we're also going to open up to some questions for the folks in the audience. And I had my questions in a certain order, but based on what you shared today, I'm going to revise some. So I have to ask. I had heard those poems before. I had forgotten, admittedly, though, how you use the word craft in terms of developing his craft, and you even use the word passion for a craft. So I have to ask, are you the personal author behind those poems?
Yeah, and that's one thing that's kind of crazy. Is like you never really know what's going to happen until you put yourself out there. You never know unless you die. I wasn't a good student in high school or college, really. I mean, I was a 2.3 student. I got maybe a C at the highest. It's my best grade in English. And so, when I started the social media thing, I just was like, all right, I need content. What can I do to like tie people into the brand in a meaningful way that's a little bit different than just, posting pictures of Giancarlo Stanton hitting a home run. So I started writing poems, and I found out that I was good at it. And I wouldn't have known if I was too scared to just put it out there and see what happens. And so when it started getting more likes and shares on my quotes and my poems, it just worked. And so like it's just a product of willing to put myself out there and see what happens.
That's awesome. So I guess in a large way, is the voice of Baseballism in some ways the voice of Travis as well?
I mean, pretty much. I mean, that's how it started off. What's crazy is we knew we had to get a following when we first started. And basically, I don't know if you knew you could do this, but you can max out on tweets in a day. So I maxed out on tweets in a day. And what I did was I found people that use the word baseball in their tweet. I just searched the hashtag baseball. And I said, if you believe in baseball, follow us. And I must have sent out 2,000 tweets in a day to just 2,000 people. And eventually I did that like 2 or 3 times. Eventually we got that following up to like 600, 700 people. And then I started posting content like these poems and quotes and like cool graphics that I learned how to do on YouTube. And that's what kind of got us kickstarted. And then when we finally did our Kickstarter campaign and we launched our website, we actually had a good following before we did that. So that was important, is building that following before we actually started sales.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier, obviously using it as part of your parallel analogy about the importance of team, and you even referenced, somebody that you tried adding to the team that maybe wasn't the ideal fit. And obviously it ties with the camp and your former players. I'm curious though, also the connection to Portland and Oregon. Why was it important to you to put your roots there, to plant your flag there for Flagman?
Yeah, for us, I mean, my three business partners are from Portland. I'm the only one that's not from Portland. I'm from Hawaii originally. But for us, it makes sense because our brand is not a Major League Baseball brand. You know, we don't follow any teams, and that's kind of what makes us unique, is that we're four baseball players from states that don't have Major League Baseball teams. So we kind of approach it a different way. We love the game because we love to play, and we love the lessons it instills in us and our kids. And so I don't know if Baseballism would exist if I wasn't from Hawaii and my three business partners from a place that had an MLB team, because immediately when you think baseball and you think baseball apparel, you think, I'm going to buy Braves gear, I'm going to buy, you know, Tigers gear or whatever it is. And so because we came from a perspective of, hey, you know, like, I love baseball, I don't have a team, but I want to show that I have a passion for the game. That's what Baseballism is, and I think that's why Portland's important, is because it doesn't have a team right now.
Nice. Yeah, and I've seen, you know, obviously the Portland gear, and Portland needs a team swag as well. Actually, one of my questions that came from the audience as well. Can you talk a little bit about the story and the craft behind the Flagman design?
Oh yeah, so we do a license with Babe Ruth, his family, and so it's great. They love us. It's a great relationship to have. But when we first did the Flagman design, and we just sat down and said, we had this Baseballism logo, which is right here in back of me.
Mm-hmm.
And we said we needed something that was more of a logo and not just a word, kind of like what, you know, the guy on the horse for Polo Ralph Lauren, or like the Burberry Knight or whatever it is. So we wanted just a symbol that kind of showed who we were without having any words. And so we like, you know, Babe Ruth is probably the most iconic baseball player, and we wanted it to be, you know, American also. We wanted to have Americana. So I fiddled around with it, and I stuck an American flag in Babe Ruth's hands. And that was kind of it. We're like, oh my goodness, this is telling the story of America's pastime. Arguably one of its best players, and definitely the most iconic. And it's old school too. And so it's kind of like the heart of baseball in one logo. And that's how we came up with it, and we agreed upon it. And it's worked out really well for everyone, especially for the Babe Ruth family, because they're doing well. And not a lot of Babe Ruth stuff is sold besides us.
That's awesome. So you talked about your 11 stores, and they're in MLB cities. Can you talk a little bit about like the fact that you have a brick and mortar store right there in Cooperstown?
Yeah, I mean, that was super important. It was our first store. So we started our website in 2013. Our first store was in Cooperstown, New York in 2014. And we're from Portland. Our headquarters is in Portland. So we opened a store basically as far away as you can from your home base as possible. But we knew it was important for the story of who we were. I'd also coached there. I went to coach in Cooperstown, New York, a 12U team. And if you're not familiar with Cooperstown, New York, there's a Hall of Fame there, which is the main attraction. But there's also 3 fields that have 100-team tournaments there weekly during the summer. And so when I visited there, I was like, okay, like this is baseball Disneyland. We need to be in baseball Disneyland. And it's also good for our story too, because a lot of people think that we're actually from New York because of that Cooperstown store, because it's in an 1876 building, original hardwood floors, and it's next to the Baseball Hall of Fame. It's next to Doubleday Field, and so it tells our story as a brand. We're a modern brand with an old school heart, and that's how I like to describe us. We represent the class, the history, tradition of baseball, and so having a store in Cooperstown was very important for us because it kind of validated us and who we are as a brand.
Nice. I have to assume with everything that went on this year, your plans for new brick and mortar stores may potentially be slowed down. You tell me. But I got to ask, and I got it in the Q&A as well. Is there ever going to be a Detroit Baseballism store?
Man, COVID-19 doesn't help that. I'll tell you that much. We actually looked at it for a little bit because, you know, I know Detroit's up and coming and it's got a great ballpark. But I think retail in general for us is on hold for a good amount of time until we can figure out, you know, what the situation is on, you know, how many people want to come out of their houses and shop. I mean, really, that's the bottom line. I mean, COVID really hurt us a lot. So we're still trying to figure out kind of who we are as a company now that we're dealing with the new world.
Yeah. That's fair. That's fair. You touched on a little bit, and actually it came up a question as well. Can you talk a little bit some of the other things you did, as a way to rally your team and further connect with your fans during the COVID stuff with like, line of clothes and mask and, proceeds from
Yeah.
certain sales, going to N95 masks.
Yeah. So, I mean, one thing we did right away before even Major League Baseball was postponed or anything like that, we kind of felt like, okay, this is the real deal. And so we wanted people at least to give our customers the option to be safe if they wanted to. So we sent out an email from us just saying, hey, like, we want everyone to be safe. We don't want you to do anything that you don't want to do. So we're going to give everyone free shipping. We're going to move all the unique inventory from all 11 stores online so that usually you can only get that apparel if you go to the Boston store, the Chicago store. Yeah. We said, hey, if we know that some of you can't do this and it's not safe to do this anymore, so we're going to move all our apparel online and we're going to give you the shopping experience online. So usually when you come into our brick and mortar stores, you get a free drawstring bag for coming to our store when you buy anything. We moved that all online. So the whole customer experience that you get in store, we moved it online for free. And so that let people know that, hey, like, we're going to lose some money to make sure everyone's safe. And that got everyone on our side. And we honestly care. We know it's a two-way street for us and our customers. It's like, we know they help us, so we try to help them as much as possible. The other thing we did is, if you go on Instagram, you see the Stay Home logo. It has like a house and a heart. Yep. And I saw that. I'm like, man, like, we could make that baseball so easily because you got home plate. And so we just turned the house upside down, made it home plate. So we have like a home plate heart. And and N95 masks, no one can get those. Right. And so we just decided, hey, as a company, it's tough times, but we just didn't want to let the situation change our soul. Like, we give back all the time. We give back to youth programs and, different baseball programs around the country, like breast cancer awareness, child cancer awareness. We give back to all that. And so just because we were losing money at the time, we didn't want to change who we were as a company. And so we decided we're going to make these shirts and we're going to help out our healthcare workers and donate money to getting them PPE. And so that was big for us. Because when people go to your website, they don't just buy one shirt. They bought that shirt and we donated the proceeds of that, but they bought one shirt and they bought, a Baseballism shirt that wasn't for charity. And so that helped us out a lot. It helped us dig us out of that hole. So, that's what we did is we didn't let the situation change our soul. We just kept on being good and like just who we are, and just people, people aren't stupid. They can see who you are. So it just helped us out a lot.
So I'm going to give you a shameless plug. Everyone should go to baseballism.com because they're still selling a lot of this gear. You just introduced new gear with your partnership with Justin Turner, the Dodgers.
Justin Turner.
Yeah. So so you got more gear that's doing more good for COVID. And then you also have, shirts that have masks built in and hoodies and masks as well. So everyone should check it out. Hey, one more big one, then I can hand it over to Andrew, potentially bring us home, unless the way you answer, maybe I may have a follow-up. So obviously COVID sucked, and that was a big one, but then there's other stuff going on with, George Floyd and social justice or injustice that it may be. But I think one of the interesting things about Baseballism, which is your brand, is that you've always had ties to people that stood up and did the right thing. You're wearing a Jackie Robinson shirt today. You have Roberto Clemente, both amazing baseball players in their own right, obviously, but also those really stand-up people that were more about, or as much about community and the people and where they came from and giving back. So can you talk a little bit about the importance of like that being part of the Baseballism story as well?
Yeah, what's big for us is we're a family brand. We sell to kids, and anytime you're selling to kids, we just want to be a good example. We're not going to have swear words on our t-shirts. We're not going to, there's a lot of other baseball brands that, have the whole slump buster thing with women on their t-shirt. It's just like, that's just not who we are. That's not what the lessons we want to teach our kids. And we try to relate baseball to life. And so the best people that, that relate baseball to life are Jackie Robinson, Roberto Clemente. They're the best examples we have. And when it came to the BLM thing, it was just like, how can we relate baseball to this situation? And there's just no better example than Jackie Robinson. It's like, how would Jackie Robinson handle this situation when it comes to, protesting, standing up for civil rights? And so we brought Jackie Robinson to the conversation and said, like, hey guys, let's learn from the guy who did it best. And so that's just kind of the message we want to send as a brand is like, you know, we're against racism, we're against police brutality, and I think Jackie Robinson would be the same way. And so that's what we're going to stand for. And so that's the stance we took. And I think just digging through baseball, there's a lot of good stuff. There's a lot of good lessons to be learned. There's a lot of great people like Lou Gehrig's another guy, you know, ALS, and just, you know, saying he was the luckiest man on earth with a different perspective. And so it's just learning from guys like that. There's just so many great lessons in baseball that translate to life, and so many great role models that baseball has produced. And we just want to, our company motto is show the world how great baseball can be. And to do that, we take the greatest from baseball, and we put them out there, and we put them on a pedestal to show people that these people are good examples, and you can have your kid wearing this shirt and be proud of that. And so that's big for us.
Yeah. Well said. Well said. Okay. One follow-up that to trigger a follow-up. So you talked about how you don't do MLB licensing, but then you do partnerships with licensing with some other types of like baseball culture and lifestyle. So like Field of Dream and, you know, and that sort of thing. So is that because you like some of the lessons that those kind of iconic shared as well?
Well, that's also just because that's our audience. You know, our audience are baseball lovers just like us. And like, if you like Major League the movie, you like Field of Dreams, you like The Natural, I can probably have a conversation with you and we can talk about it. You know, because I mean, that's our people. And we know what our people like because our people are just like us. They love baseball just like us. And like, when you like those movies, you understand baseball on a different level than most people. There's people that go to a Giants game and they go there just like watching a movie. It's just entertainment for them. And then there are people that go to a game and they watch the game and they say, all right, there's a run on first with, you know, less than 2 outs. Is there going to be a sacrifice bunt? You know, those are our people that kind of understand the game at like not just the average level. They go beyond that. And so when you get into those movies, I mean, those are the people that we want to get to. And so if you've ever been to the Field of Dreams, that place is awesome, by the way. You gotta go. You'll go on there and it'll feel like you're just around like 100 family members because everybody knows what's going on. Like we went there and I was throwing BP to a kid that was 8 years old, and then his dad threw BP to me, and like there's mom shagging in the outfield, and it's just like no one knew each other, but everyone knew what to do. You know, it was like a pickup game of basketball except baseball style. So I recommend going to Field of Dreams for sure.
Nice. Well, let's definitely end on that super high note. Andrew, I'll turn it over to you to kind of close it all out. And Travis, thank you. An amazing session today. I really appreciate it.
I hope I did you guys justice.
You really did, Travis, and I'm glad I have a couple minutes here because I was blown away by your message and your passion. It comes through in everything that you do, and it really comes through as so authentic. And I think that's what, you know, why your brand resonates with so many people in this country. I was fielding texts through while I was listening here of other ad crafters texting me saying, hey, I'm not even the biggest baseball fan, but his message really comes through clearly. So I think if you're a baseball fan, then you're all in on everything that you said. And even if you're not, I want to thank you for just having such a, clearly defined brand and being able to clearly define your values on this call today. So I think it really transfers into what we do. Baseball to life, baseball to our business, and baseball to craft. I'm a fan. I'm definitely going to do my part and support your brand. And I hope our members do as well. And I hope you all took from it what I did, that there's, you got to take swings, you got to take chances. And a lot of our Adcraft community has so many talents. And we see that every day. Just keep taking those swings. So I just wanted to thank you, Travis. I hope we all stay in touch. We'd love to have you back in person at some point. And we can't thank you enough for being a part of Adcraft. And you're now an honorary Adcrafter. So thank you so much.
That was a plan. That was a plan for the beginning. Thanks, guys.
All right. Take care, guys.
Yep.
Appreciate it.